This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Good Things to Eat, as suggested by Rufus, by Rufus Estates. Section 15. Cakes, Crullers, and Eclairs. Almond cakes. 1 pound sifted flour, 1/2 pound butter, 3/4 pound sugar, 2 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 4 ounces of almonds blanched and chopped very fine, 2 ounces of raisins finely chopped. Mix all the dry ingredients together, then rub in the butter. Add eggs and spices last of all. Roll out 1/2 inch thick, cut into fancy shapes, and bake in a slow oven. Almond cheesecakes. Blanch and pound to a fine paste 1 cupful almonds. As you pound them, add rose water, a few drops at a time to keep them from oiling. Add the paste to 1 cupful milk curd together with a 1/2 cup cream, 1 cupful sugar, 3 beaten egg yolks, and a scant teaspoonful of rose water. Fill patty pans lined with paste and bake in a hot oven 10 minutes. Aunt Amy's cake. Take 2 eggs and 1 1/2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of sour milk, 1/2 cup of butter, 2 cups of flour, and 1 teaspoon of soda. Spice to taste. This is a good cake and one that is also inexpensive in baking. Use a moderate oven and bake in loaves rather than sheets. Baltimore cake. Beat 1 cupful of butter to a cream using a wooden cake spoon. Add gradually while beating constantly 2 cupfuls fine granulated sugar. When creamy, add a cupful of milk, alternating with 3 1/2 cupful pastry flour that has been mixed and sifted with 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Add a teaspoonful of vanilla and the egg whites of 6 eggs beaten stiff and dry. Bake in 3 buttered and floured shallow cake tins and spread between the layers and on top of the following icing. Put in a saucepan 3 cups sugar, 1 cup water. Heat gradually to a boiling point and cook without stirring until the syrup will thread. Pour the hot syrup gradually over the well-beaten whites of 3 eggs and continue beating until the right consistency for spreading. Then add 1 cupful of chopped and seeded raisins, 1 cup of chopped pecan meats, and 5 figs cut into strips. Baltimore cake. For this cake, use 1 cupful of butter, 2 cupfuls of sugar, 3 1/2 cupfuls flour, 1 cupful sweet milk, 2 tablespoonfuls baking powder, the whites of 6 eggs, and a teaspoon of rose water. Cream the butter, add the sugar gradually, beating steadily, then the milk and flavorings. Next the flour sifted with the baking powder. Lastly, the stiffly beaten whites, folded in at the last. Bake in 3-layer cake tins in an oven hotter than for loaf cake. While baking, prepare the filling. Dissolve 3 cupfuls sugar in 1 cupful boiling water and cook until it spins a thread. Pour over the stiffly beaten whites of 3 eggs, stirring constantly. Add to this icing 1 cupful raisins, 1 cupful chopped nut meats, preferably pecans or walnuts, and a 1/2 dozen figs cut into fine strips. Use this for filling, and also ice the top and sides with it. Bread cake. Cream 1 cup of sugar and 1/2 cup of butter. Add 1/2 cup of milk, 2 cups of flour sifted with 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and last, the stiffly beaten whites of 3 eggs and 1/2 a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. Bake in 1 loaf. Bride's cake. 1 1/2 cupfuls of sugar, 1/2 cupful of butter, 1/2 cupful of sweet milk, 2 cupfuls of flour, 1/4 cupful cornstarch, 6 egg whites, 1 1/2 teaspoonfuls baking powder, 1 teaspoonful vanilla. Cream the sugar and butter, add milk, flour, and cornstarch, into which the baking powder has been thoroughly sifted. Stir in the whites of eggs quickly with the flavoring. Buttermilk cake. Cream 3 tablespoons of butter with 1 cup of sugar. Add 1 cup of buttermilk, 1 well-beaten egg, 2 cups of flour sifted with 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 cup of seeded raisins cut in pieces and rolled in flour. Chocolate cake. Beat 1 cup of butter to a cream with 2 cups of sugar. Add the yolks of 5 eggs beaten until lightly colored, and 1 cup milk. Sift 3 1/2 cups of flour with 5 level teaspoons of baking powder, and add to the first mixture. Stir well and fold in the beaten whites of 2 eggs. Beat in layer cake tins and spread the following mixture between while the cakes are nearly cold. Beat 1 1/2 cups of powdered sugar, 3 level tablespoons of cocoa, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and the whites of 3 eggs together until a smooth mixture is made that will spread easily. The exact amount of sugar varies a little on account of the size of eggs. Chocolate cake. Cook 1 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of milk, 1/2 cup of grated chocolate, and the beaten yolk of 1 egg together until smooth. When done, add a teaspoon of vanilla and cool. Beat 1/2 cup of butter to a cream. Add 1 cup of sugar slowly and beat smooth. Add 2 beaten eggs, 1/2 cup of milk, 2 cups of flour in which 2/3 teaspoon of soda has been sifted, and when well beaten, add the cool chocolate mixture. Bake in 4 layers and put together with a white boiled icing. Chocolate layer cake. Beat a 1/2 cup full of butter to a cream, adding gradually 1 cupful sugar. When light, beat in a little at a time a 1/2 cupful milk and a teaspoonful vanilla. Beat the whites of 6 eggs to a stiff froth and teaspoon and a half with 2 cupfuls flour. Add the sifted flour to the mixture. Then fold in the whipped whites. Have 3 buttered layer cake tins ready, and put 2/3 of the mixture into 2 of them. Into the 3rd tin put the remainder of the batter, having first added to it 2 tablespoons melted chocolate. Bake the cakes in a rather quick oven for 20 minutes. Put a layer of the white cake on a large plate and cover with white icing. On this lay the dark layer and cover with more of the white icing. On this put the 3rd cake and cover with the chocolate icing. Put into a graniteware pan 1 cupful and a 1/2 cupful water and cook gently until bubbles begin to rise from bottom. Do not stir or shake while cooking. Take it once from the stove and pour in a thin stream over stiffly whipped whites of 2 eggs. Beat it until thick, flavor with vanilla, and use 2/3 of this for the white icing. Into the remainder put a tablespoon and a half melted chocolate and a suspicion of cinnamon extract, and frost the top and sides of the cake. Chocolate loaf cakes. Cream 1 cup of butter. Add 2 1/2 cups of sugar and beat to a cream. Beat the yolks of 5 eggs light. Add to the butter and sugar with 1 cup of milk and 3 cups of flour in which 4 level teaspoons of baking powder have been sifted. The stiffly beaten whites of 5 eggs and 2 teaspoons of vanilla flavoring and 2 squares of chocolate melted. Bake in a moderate oven. Cocoa cake. Cream 1/2 cup of butter, add 1 cup of sugar and beat again. Add the beaten yolks of 3 eggs and a teaspoon of vanilla. Sift 2 cups of pastry flour twice with 1/4 cup of cocoa and 4 level teaspoons of baking powder. Add to the first mixture alternately with 3/4 cup of milk, beat hard, and fold in the stiffly beaten whites of 3 eggs. Bake in a loaf and cover with white icing. Cream cake or pie. This recipe makes a simple layer cake to be filled in various ways. Cream 1/4 cup of butter with 1 cup of sugar. Add the beaten yolks of 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now beat hard, then mix in 1/2 cup of milk alternately with 1 1/2 cups of flour sifted twice with 2 level teaspoons of baking powder. Beat just enough to make smooth, then fold in lightly the stiffly beaten whites of 2 eggs and pour into an oblong shallow pan that is buttered, floured, and wrapped to shake out all that is superfluous. Bake about 20 minutes. Take from pan and cool. Just before serving, split the cake and fill with a cooked cream filling or with a sweet thick cream beaten, sweetened with powdered sugar,